My mother hasn't spoken to me in 3 weeks. Not since she helped me move my things out of Jason's condo while he sat in his home office, door closed, pretending I didn't exist. The same condo where we were supposed to start our married life in just 3 months. The same place where I'd practiced writing Susan Chen Morrison in wedding invitation fonts, where we'd argued about paint colors for the nursery we'd eventually need, where I thought I'd found my forever. Now I'm sleeping on my friend Tara's couch, scrolling through wedding forums at 3 a.m., reading posts about calling off the wedding and starting over after betrayal. Except in my case, I'm not the brave survivor. I'm the cautionary tale, the bride who threw away everything for one stupid weekend that meant nothing. God, how did I get here? 4 years ago, meeting Jason felt like destiny. I was 28, fresh out of a toxic relationship with Brian that had left me emotionally drained and questioning my judgment. Jason was everything Brian wasn't: stable, reliable, genuinely kind. He owned his own place, had a steady career in finance, never made me guess how he felt about me. After the chaos of Brian, Jason felt like coming home. Our relationship progressed naturally. First date at a wine bar, second date mini-golfing where he let me win, third date cooking dinner at his place where he burned the chicken, but we laughed and ordered pizza instead. He was easy to be with, easy to love. No games, no drama, no wondering if he'd text back or show up when he said he would. "You're different with him," my mom observed after meeting Jason for the first time. "Calmer, more yourself." She was right. With Jason, I didn't feel like I was walking on eggshells or performing for approval. He loved me, steadily, consistently, without the peaks and valleys that had defined my relationship with Brian. When Jason proposed last year at the Botanical Gardens, the place of our 4th date, I said yes without hesitation. This was my person. This was my future. We threw ourselves into wedding planning. Jason, being Jason, had spreadsheets for everything: budget trackers, vendor comparisons, guest list matrices. I teased him about it, but secretly I loved how much he cared, how he wanted every detail perfect for us. We picked October for the fall colors, found a venue overlooking the river, sent save the dates with our engagement photos where we both looked genuinely, radiantly happy. Everything was perfect, until it wasn't. The lake house weekend was Megan's idea. She'd been going through a rough divorce and needed girl time. Just the old college crew: me, Megan, Tara, and Jen. We'd done these weekends before, usually involving too much wine, terrible movies, and conversations that went until sunrise. Jason barely looked up from his laptop when I told him about it. "Have fun, babe. Try not to let Megan convince you to get matching tattoos again." I laughed, remembering the tiny stars we'd all gotten junior year. That was one time, and we were 20. He pulled me in for a kiss. "Love you. Don't text and boat." "Love you too. Don't forget to eat actual meals while I'm gone." It was so normal. So us. The last normal moment we'd have. The drive to the lake took 3 hours. Megan had rented this gorgeous house through Airbnb, all wood beams and huge windows overlooking the water. We claimed rooms, unpacked wine, started the weekend the way we always did, with music too loud and inhibitions already lowering. "To freedom," Megan toasted, and we clinked glasses. "To friends who get you through hell," Tara added. "To Susan's last girls' trip before she's a boring married lady," Jen teased. I laughed, but something about that comment stuck. Was I becoming boring? Jason and I had fallen into such comfortable routines. Friday date nights at the same 3 restaurants, Saturday mornings at the farmer's market, Sunday meal prep for the week. When was the last time I'd been spontaneous? Done something unexpected? "Hey, Earth to Susan!" Megan waved her hand in front of my face. "You're thinking too hard. This weekend is about not thinking." She was right. I pushed the thoughts away and let myself relax into the weekend. Friday night blurred into wine and laughter and Megan ugly crying about her ex while we assured her she was better off without him. Saturday morning came with hangovers and regret. We were nursing coffee on the deck when Megan suggested going into town for brunch. The little lakeside downtown was cute. Antique shops and cafes and tourists wandering with ice cream cones. We were waiting for a table at this place called the Rustic Spoon when I heard it. "Susan? Holy shit, is that you?" I turned and there he was. Brian, my Brian, ex-Brian. Standing there in board shorts and a tank top, looking exactly like he did in college except for some lines around his eyes. My stomach did this weird flip that I immediately hated myself for. "Brian," I managed, "what are you doing here?" "I live here now. Well, not here, but about 10 minutes up the lake. Bought a place last year." He grinned, that same crooked smile that used to make me forgive things I shouldn't have. "What about you? Let me guess. Girls' weekend?" I gestured vaguely at my friends who were watching with expressions ranging from curiosity, Jen, to outright hostility, Tara, who'd held my hair back too many times after Brian-induced crying sessions. "Nice," he said, then seemed to really look at me. "You look good, Suze. Really good. Happy?" "I am happy. I'm getting married in October." Something flickered across his face. "No shit. Wow. Good for you. Anyone I know?" "No, his name's Jason. He's—" I paused, trying to sum up Jason in a way that didn't sound like a comparison. "He's wonderful." "I'm sure he is." Brian shoved his hands in his pockets. "Hey, I'm actually having some people over later, just a casual thing. You guys should come by, for old time's sake." "I don't think—" "Come on, Suze. It's been, 5 years? We're adults. Plus, Megan looks like she could use a party." He winked at Megan, who actually giggled. Traitor. I should have said no. Every rational part of my brain was screaming to politely decline and walk away. But there was Megan, recently divorced and desperate for distraction, already asking about the address. There was that comment about being boring echoing in my head. There was Brian, looking at me like he used to when everything between us was electric and terrible and addictive. "Maybe just for a little bit," I heard myself say. Tara shot me a look that could have melted steel. I pretended not to see it. We spent the afternoon back at the house, and I told myself we wouldn't actually go to Brian's. But as evening approached and Megan started getting ready, the momentum felt inevitable. Jen was curious about seeing Brian's place. Megan was determined to flirt with anything that moved. Even Tara eventually shrugged and said, "If we're doing this stupidity, I'm going to need more wine." I changed clothes 3 times. Why did it matter what I wore? It didn't. I was engaged, happy. This was just catching up with an old friend. But I still ended up in the sundress Jason had bought me for my birthday, the one that made me feel confident and pretty. "You sure about this?" Tara asked as we piled into the Uber. "It's fine. We'll stay an hour, be polite, leave. No big deal." Brian's place was not what I expected. The Brian I knew lived in sketchy apartments with mattresses on the floor and empty pizza boxes as decoration. This Brian had an actual house, small but nice, with a deck overlooking the water and furniture that matched. Adult furniture. The party was already in full swing, maybe 20 people scattered between the deck and the living room. "Suze!" Brian appeared immediately, beer in hand, smile wide. "You made it. Come on, let me give you the tour." I shouldn't have separated from my friends. That was mistake number 2. Mistake number 1 being showing up at all. But Brian was already leading me through the house, pointing out renovations he'd done himself, the office where he ran his consulting business, the view from the master bedroom that overlooked the lake. "This is really nice," I admitted. "You've done well for yourself." "Yeah, well, losing you was a wake-up call. Made me get my shit together." He said it casually, but there was weight behind the words. "Brian..." I know. You're getting married. I'm not trying to start anything. I always regretted how things ended with us. I was an ass." That was the understatement of the century. Brian had been selfish, unreliable, constantly choosing his friends and his freedom over our relationship. He'd made me feel crazy for wanting basic commitment, gaslit me into thinking I was asking too much. But standing in his house, seeing this version of him, It was hard to reconcile with the boy who'd broken my heart. "That was a long time ago," I said carefully. "Yeah, still, I'm sorry, you deserved better." The moments stretched between us, loaded with history and what-ifs. Then someone called his name from downstairs, breaking the spell. "Come on," he said. "Let's get you a drink. Can't have you being the only sober one at my party." The night progressed in a blur of drinks and laughter and stories about the old days. Brian was charming and attentive in a way he'd never been when we were together. He kept finding reasons to touch my arm, to lean in close when talking, to remind me of inside jokes from years ago. I should have left, should have found my friends and called that Uber. Instead, I let myself enjoy the attention, the reminder that I could still affect him after all these years. When someone suggested the hot tub, I initially said no. But Megan was already stripping down to her bikini, always prepared, that one, and others were following suit. Brian produced extra suits for anyone who needed them, and before I knew it, I was changing in his bathroom, staring at myself in the mirror and wondering what the hell I was doing. "Just friends catching up," I whispered to my reflection. "Jason wouldn't care. Jason trusts you." The hot tub was crowded, bodies pressed together in the bubbling water. Somehow, and I swear I didn't plan it, I ended up next to Brian. His leg brushed mine under the water. When I shifted away, I only ended up closer to him on the other side. Megan was taking pictures and videos, documenting everything like she always did. I smiled and posed and tried to ignore how aware I was of Brian's presence, how my skin felt electric where the water moved between us. "You happy with him?" Brian asked quietly, under the noise of other conversations. "Really happy?" "Yes," I said automatically. Then, because the wine was making me honest, "It's different than it was with us. Calmer, safer." "Sounds boring." "It's not boring. It's stable. It's real." We were real. We were a disaster. He laughed, soft and rueful. "Yeah, we were, but God, Suze, the highs were high, weren't they?" His hand found mine under the water. Just for a second. Just long enough for me to not pull away when I should have. The touch was like a shock to my system, flooding me with sense memories I'd buried, fighting in his apartment and making up against the wall, driving to the beach at 3 a.m. because why not? The passion that burned so hot it consumed everything in its path, including us. "That's the problem with highs," I said quietly. "The lows are just as extreme." "Maybe I've learned to balance better." I looked at him then, really looked at him. He was the same but different. Steadier around the edges, but still Brian, still the man who'd made me feel more alive and more miserable than anyone before or since. "I should go," I said. "Stay, nothing's happening, we're just talking." And technically he was right, nothing physical happened. We sat in that hot tub for another hour, talking about safe topics while our knees occasionally brushed and the air between us crackled with unspoken history. When I finally got out, waterlogged and dizzy from wine and heat, he helped me up, his hands on my waist for just a moment longer than necessary. "It was good seeing you, Suze," he said softly. "Really good." "Yeah," I managed. "You too." The Uber ride back was quiet. Megan passed out against the window. Jen scrolled through her phone. Tara stared at me with those knowing eyes. "Nothing happened," I said defensively. "I didn't say anything." "You're thinking it really loud." "Susan, you're getting married in 3 months." "I know that. God, Tara, I know. Nothing happened. We just talked." "In a hot tub. While he looked at you like he wanted to devour you. He didn't. And you looked back the same way." I didn't have a response to that. Because maybe she was right. Maybe for just a few hours I'd let myself remember what it felt like to be wanted like that. To be seen as exciting and unpredictable instead of safe and stable. It didn't mean anything. It couldn't mean anything. Back at the house, I checked my phone. 3 texts from Jason. "Hope you're having fun." "Love you. Don't forget we have dinner with my parents Tuesday." "Sleep well, beautiful." Each message was like a knife to my conscience. Sweet, dependable Jason who trusted me completely, who would never in a million years imagine I'd spent the evening in a hot tub with my ex, letting old chemistry cloud my judgment. I texted back, "Love you too. Can't wait to be home tomorrow." Then I deleted Brian's number from my phone, where I'd somehow let him add it again. Whatever had happened tonight, or hadn't happened, it was done. A momentary lapse in judgment brought on by nostalgia and wine. Tomorrow I'd go home to Jason and our life and our wedding plans, and this would just be a weird blip to forget about. Except Megan's Instagram story was about to make forgetting impossible. Sunday morning, I woke with a pounding headache and a sense of dread I couldn't quite place. Something about last night felt like a dream, hazy and unreal. But the bikini hanging in the bathroom was evidence enough that it had happened. "Coffee," Megan groaned from her bed. "Need coffee?" We moved through the morning slowly, packing up the house and avoiding any real conversation about the night before. Tara kept shooting me looks, but I pretended not to notice. It wasn't until we were in the car heading home that Megan started scrolling through her phone. "Oh shit," she muttered. "I posted stories last night, I don't even remember." My blood ran cold. "What kind of stories?" "Just party stuff." Oh no." She looked at me in the rearview mirror, face pale. "Susan, I'm so sorry, I'll delete them right now." "What did you post?" "Just the hot tub. But you can see, it's obvious that's Brian next to you and—" "Delete it, now." "I'm trying, my phone's being slow. Okay, they're gone. I'm sure no one saw, Jason follows you." The car went silent. Megan's face went from pale to ghostly. Maybe he didn't watch them? But I knew Jason. Steady, reliable Jason who liked routine and always checked Instagram on Sunday mornings with his coffee. He'd seen it. Of course he'd seen it. The rest of the drive was agony. I drafted a dozen texts to him, deleting each one. How do you explain something that shouldn't need explaining? How do you defend something that looked exactly like what it was? Inappropriate and disrespectful and stupid? By the time we pulled up to the house, my hands were shaking. I needed to get home, to explain in person, to make this right. The girls hugged me goodbye with worried faces, Megan apologizing over and over. I waved them off and drove home, practicing speeches that all sounded hollow. Walking into the condo felt like walking into a courtroom. Jason was on the couch, still in his weekend clothes, staring at his phone. He looked up when I entered, and his face was carefully blank. "How was the weekend?" he asked, voice neutral. "It was fine, just the girls, wild but fun." The lie tasted bitter. He nodded slowly. "Just the girls?" My heart hammered. Play dumb or come clean. I chose the coward's route. "Yeah, why?" That's when he showed me the screenshot. Me in the hot tub, laughing, leaning toward Brian whose arm rested behind me, intimate and familiar. In that frozen moment, we looked like a couple. We looked like what we used to be. "That's not what it looks like," I said quickly. "Then what is it?" "We ran into him in town. He invited us to a party. It was nothing." "At what point during your girls' weekend did your ex-boyfriend end up shirtless in a hot tub with you?" The interrogation that followed was brutal in its simplicity. Jason didn't yell or accuse. He just asked questions, each one highlighting how badly I'd screwed up. Why hadn't I mentioned running into Brian? Why had I gone to his house? Why was I in a hot tub with him? Did he stay the night? "He was around most of Saturday," I admitted, hating how it sounded. "That's not what I asked." "Nothing happened, Jason. We just talked." "Did you sleep with him?" The question hit like a slap. "Are you serious? You think I would—" "I don't know what to think. My fiancé spent Saturday night in a hot tub with her ex and didn't think to mention it. Because I knew you'd react like this." "Like what? Like someone who expects honesty from the person I'm marrying?" I tried to turn it around, make him the bad guy for being jealous and controlling. I asked if he was stalking my friend's social media. I told him he was being ridiculous, unattractive, insecure. Every defensive, deflecting tactic I could think of, I threw at him. But Jason wasn't Brian. He didn't rise to the bait, didn't let me make him the villain. He just looked tired and sad and disappointed. "Let me see your phone," he said quietly. "What? No, that's invasive. I'm not doing this. We're getting married in 3 months. You need to trust me." "I did trust you, right up until you spent the night in a hot tub with your ex and lied about it." "I didn't lie, I just didn't mention it." "That's lying by omission, Susan." "Nothing happened." "Then why won't you show me your phone?" Because Brian had texted me, multiple times. Messages I'd deleted but knew could be recovered. Messages about how good it was to see me, how he'd thought about me over the years, how if things were different. Messages I'd read and felt a thrill I had no business feeling. "This is toxic," I said instead. "This jealous, controlling behavior, it's not who you are." "You're right," Jason said. "It's not, which is why we're done." The word hit me like cold water. "What?" "The wedding, the engagement, us, we're done." He said it so calmly, so finally. This wasn't a fight where we'd cool off and make up. This was an ending. "You're throwing away 4 years over nothing? Over running into an ex? You're being insane." "No, I'm ending this because when you got caught, your first instinct was to lie, then to blame me, then to refuse any accountability. That tells me everything I need to know about who you really are." I tried everything. Tears, apologies, promises to do better. But Jason had made up his mind, and one thing about Jason, once he made a decision, he stuck to it. He slept in the guest room that night while I lay in our bed, staring at the ceiling and wondering how everything had fallen apart so fast. The killing blow came the next morning. I woke to my phone ringing. My mother. "Susan Michelle Chen," she said, and I knew I was screwed. She only used my full name when I was in serious trouble. "Jason called me. He told me everything." "Mom, it's not what you think." "A hot tub? With Brian? That manipulative piece of trash who had you in therapy for a year? Have you lost your mind?" "Nothing happened. Everyone's overreacting. Get your things and come home now." "Mom, I'm not a child. You can't just order me." "Susan, you listen to me. Jason is the best thing that ever happened to you. He's stable, kind, successful, and he loves you. And you threw it away for what? A few hours of attention from someone who treated you like garbage?" "I didn't throw anything away. God, why won't anyone listen to me?" "Because you're not saying anything worth hearing. You're making excuses instead of taking responsibility. Now get your things. I'm calling the wedding venue." "What? Mom, no! We can work this out. It's just a fight." "It's done, Susan. You made your choice in that hot tub. Now live with it." She hung up. My own mother hung up on me. I called back 6 times. She didn't answer. By the time I got dressed and went downstairs, Jason was gone. At work, probably, living his life like I hadn't just destroyed mine. I texted him, begging him to talk, to let me explain. He didn't respond. Then the texts started rolling in from my friends. Not my girlfriends from the weekend, other friends. Mutual friends with Jason, friends whose boyfriends had heard about what happened. The gossip spread like wildfire through our social circle. Susan cheated. Susan got caught. Susan ruined everything for some ex-boyfriend. "It wasn't like that," I wanted to scream. But what was it like? I'd gone to my ex's house, drunk wine, sat too close to him in a hot tub, let him say things he shouldn't have said, felt things I shouldn't have felt. Maybe nothing physical happened, but emotional betrayal was still betrayal. When I got home that evening, and it was strange how it no longer felt like home, my mother's car was in the driveway. She'd let herself in with the spare key and was already packing my things with the efficiency of someone who'd done this before. Because she had, 5 years ago, when she'd moved me out of Brian's apartment after another spectacular flame-out. "Mom, please, can we just talk about this?" She looked at me with such disappointment it made my chest ache. "What's there to talk about? You had a good man who wanted to marry you, and you threw it away for someone who already proved he wasn't worth your time. I didn't throw anything away. It was one stupid night. Nothing even happened. Then why didn't you tell Jason about it immediately? Why hide it if it was so innocent? I didn't have a good answer for that. I called the vendors, she continued, folding my clothes with sharp, angry movements. Most will give partial refunds. The deposits are Jason's to recover since he paid them. You called the vendors? Mom, this is my life. No, Susan. This was your life. Your life was planning a wedding with a man who adored you. Your life was the stability and love you said you wanted after Brian. But the second he showed up again, you forgot all of that. That's not fair. Isn't it? Tell me, what did you think would happen? That you'd have your fun with Brian and then come home to Jason like nothing changed? That you could have the excitement of your toxic ex and the stability of your fiancé? Her words hit too close to home. Because maybe in some deep part of me, that's exactly what I'd wanted. The thrill of being desired by Brian, the safety of coming home to Jason, having my cake and eating it too. I made a mistake, I said quietly. Yes, you did. And now you face the consequences. We packed in silence after that. Box by box, I watched my life with Jason disappear into cardboard and tape. The photos from our trips, the silly gifts we'd given each other, the wedding planning binders I'd spent months perfecting. All of it reduced to cargo in my mother's SUV. Jason came home while we were loading the last boxes. He didn't help, didn't hinder, just went to his office and closed the door. The message was clear. I no longer existed in his world. As we drove away, I looked back at the condo one last time. In the window, I could see the shadow of our life together. The couch where we'd spent lazy Sundays. The kitchen where he'd taught me to make his grandmother's sauce. The bedroom where we'd whispered about our future. Stop being dramatic, my mother said, catching my expression. You made your bed. Now lie in it. But I couldn't lie in it. I couldn't lie in any bed. My childhood room felt suffocating. Friends' couches felt pathetic. Everything felt wrong because I'd destroyed the one thing that had felt right. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Our friend group split, most siding with Jason because how could they not? The story was simple. Bride-to-be cheated with her ex 3 months before the wedding. The nuances, that nothing physical happened, that it was just one stupid night, didn't matter. Betrayal was betrayal. I tried to salvage something, sent Jason long emails explaining my side, apologizing, begging for another chance. He never responded. I reached out to Brian, thinking maybe if he could just explain to Jason that nothing happened. But Brian was already on to the next thing, the next girl, the next adventure. Our night meant nothing to him beyond a momentary ego boost. I mean, it was nice seeing you, he said when I called. But you know me, Suze. I'm not really the settling down type. Plus, you've got your whole thing with Jake. Jason. Right, Jason. You guys will work it out. But we didn't. Jason had already changed his relationship status to single, already removed our photos from social media, already returned the wedding bands to the jeweler. He was surgical in his removal of me from his life, clean and precise and final. The worst part was the humiliation, explaining to coworkers why I wasn't taking time off for my honeymoon. Fielding questions from distant relatives about wedding details, watching my college friends post photos from their happy marriages while I crashed on Tara's couch because I couldn't afford my own place. You need to move on, Tara said one night, 3 weeks into my couch residency. This self-pity isn't helping anyone. Easy for you to say. You didn't destroy your entire future for 5 minutes of nostalgia. No, but you did. And now you have to live with it. Jason's not coming back, Susan. You burned that bridge. She was right. I'd burned it to the ground. For what? For the memory of passion that had destroyed me once already? For the thrill of being wanted by someone who never really wanted me, just wanted to want me? I started therapy again. Same therapist who'd helped me get over Brian the first time. She didn't say, "I told you so," but her face said it for her. Why do you think you were drawn back to Brian? She asked in our first session. I don't know. Everything with Jason was so predictable, safe. Brian made me feel alive. The same way a house fire makes you feel warm, that doesn't mean you should run into burning buildings. But I had run straight into the fire, and now I was covered in ash with no home to return to. I see Jason sometimes. This isn't a big city. Run-ins are inevitable. Last week at Whole Foods, both of us reaching for the same avocados. He looked good. Lighter somehow, like I'd been a weight he'd shed. He nodded politely and moved on, leaving me standing there with produce I no longer wanted. His Instagram tells a story I'm no longer part of. The wedding vendors became deposits for a solo trip to Europe. The condo's been redecorated, my touches erased. He's dating someone new, a teacher who looks kind and steady and nothing like me. She probably never sat in hot tubs with her ex. She probably tells him everything. And Brian, he's exactly where he always was. Still in his lake house, still throwing parties, still the same person who was exciting at 25 and exhausting at 32. I ran into him last month when visiting Megan. He tried to convince me to stay the night for old time's sake. I left immediately, but not before he said something that haunts me. You know, I always figured you'd come back. You always do. He was wrong. I didn't come back to him. But I let him pull me away from something real, something stable, something I'll never get back. Jason wasn't boring. He was peaceful. He wasn't predictable. He was reliable. He wasn't safe. He was home. But you don't appreciate home until you're sleeping on someone's couch, scrolling through photos of the life you threw away, sending texts that will never be answered. You don't value trust until you've broken it. You don't understand love until you've confused it with the addiction of toxic chemistry. So now I'm here, writing this at 2 a.m. on Tara's couch, my wedding dress still in its bag at my mother's house because no one can bear to return it. The October date came and went. On what would have been our wedding day, Jason posted a photo from a hiking trail, solo, smiling free. I texted him that day. Just 2 words. I'm sorry. He read it. Those cruel check marks turned blue, letting me know he saw it, processed it, and chose silence. That silence said more than any words could. My mother was right. My therapist was right. Hell, even Brian was right in his way. I'm the woman who had everything and threw it away for nothing. I'm the cautionary tale my friends will tell their daughters. I'm the ex-fiancé who learned too late that some mistakes can't be undone, some bridges can't be rebuilt, and some men won't give you a second chance to break their hearts. The last text I sent Jason, the one I started this story with Tempasa, was simply, please help me. Not with money or housing or getting back together. Just help me understand how I could have been so stupid. Help me make sense of the choices that led me here. Help me forgive myself the way he'll never forgive me. He didn't respond. He never will. And that's the real tragedy of this story. Not that I lost Jason, though that pain still takes my breath away. The real tragedy is that I lost him for someone who was never worth losing anyone for. I traded forever for one night of nostalgia, and now I have neither. Some women learn not to play with fire. I learned by burning everything down. And now I live in the ashes, sending texts to a man who was smart enough to walk away from the flames.